everyone. My name's Nawal. I am founder and director of Leaders of Our Future, which is launching soon in UK and Pakistan. So wait for the launch date. Further information coming soon. Today, we are going to be having conversation with Tom Hayton, and he is one of the first advisors who joined Leaders of Our Future team. And he's joining us all the way from Australia. So welcome, Tom.
Thanks, Noel. Thank you very much for having me.
So, Tom, tell us a little bit about yourself first.
Sure. Well, my background professionally has largely been in education and then in educational publishing, but I've had some entrepreneurial experience as well, co-founding an edutech app developer, and then running two APAC businesses for Oxford University Press and then Macmillan. And I'm now doing leadership coaching and also running a small education placement company, which is, with a similar mission to Leaders of Our Future. We want to develop young people through the opportunity to have an effective gap year in the UK. So I've always been interested in the same space as you're now working in, and it's really fun to be involved.
Thank you, Tom. So I think this takes us nicely to our next question. What does leadership mean to you?
Well, it's a great question that is now the sort of staple of my leadership coaching practice, because no one size fits all, and everyone wrestles with how they can locate the leader inside of them. And paradoxically, the best leaders are often the ones who have the most doubt, and the worst leaders are the ones who always go in guns blazing. So leadership is a many-sided thing, and the muscle, it's more like a muscle perhaps than a thing. That strength that you have to develop through dealing with difficult crises and reflecting on what you think or what you observe about yourself and the situation is probably the underlying strength that you have to develop. So I don't really think that there's a real kind of a canned answer for leadership. You know it when you see it, and you also know it by its absence very, very many times in everyday life based on what I hear from my coaching clients. I think in my own experience, even having, owning this myself, I had the opportunity to lead, reasonably large teams by the end of my corporate stint. And you fail in public, as much as you succeed in public as a leader. So it is a very difficult thing and an elusive thing to achieve.
That's very interesting, because I think a lot of what you said, Tom, completely resonates with me, and especially when you said some of the good leaders actually are not very confident about themselves in terms of how they're leading.
Yeah.
And some of the ones who are actually not good leaders are going to go guns blazing. So I think this is where it also comes down to, I think, in my opinion, it's about your social and emotional awareness and intelligence, that how much you are self-aware about yourself and your strengths, and how much are you aware about how others are feeling. And this is where I completely agree with you in terms of it's ever evolving. Everyone will have a different leadership style, but having a bit of an understanding about your strengths definitely helps.
Yeah, it's not just about the leader in question. It's also about their ability to understand the people they're attempting to lead. I think that's really the bit about where leadership can go wrong, is if it's performative or stuff that you're copying, but it's not relevant or it's not delivered well, then it won't work. So the EQ bit is critical. You've got to understand the people that you're attempting to lead and connect with them. Otherwise, nothing will work.
Yeah, in complete agreement. So next one is an interesting question. So I don't want an answer that I have twisted your arm, but what inspired you to join the LOF team? And how does your expertise shape our mission to empower young leaders?
The mission as I mentioned sort of in the introduction, is something that I'm already very interested in. So I feel like this is another opportunity to learn more about, ways we can get better at this particular area of helping in education, not just the academic learning, but the social and personal development piece. What I like is the fact that we are at a what I think what we need is this sort of initiative at a moment where we have waves of change in the workplace, economic uncertainty, and also everyone talks about AI all day, every day, but it's not difficult to look at this generation and really wonder about what the employment sort of workspace looks like by the time that they graduate school or in their early to mid-career. So on that basis, the secret source that human beings have that AI probably won't be able to deliver is going to be in team leadership and collaboration. And if you're not good at that, I think you have a problem in your future. So I think it behooves all of us to do what we can to educate our young people as best as we can in an academic setting, but also go beyond that and make sure that we're covering bases and giving them, a rounded capability and not just an academic one for later life.
Again, in complete agreement, because and especially if I look at some of the studies that have come out, it clearly states, but even by 2030, so 2030, if you really look out, it's 5 years from now. And they're saying if you do not have some of the soft skills, the critical thinking, problem solving, resilience, leadership, you would not be able to make it into the working world. You will lose that competitive edge. And that's where we really need to empower the young. So in complete agreement. And I don't even know by 2050 how the world is going to reshape itself in terms of the work environment and how we will be operating.
Yeah, that's right. It's funny that the other thing that I've mused on is that maybe, arguably, in the last, say, 15 or 20 years, we may actually have inadvertently taken a step backwards in terms of teaching children resilience, because there's been a lot of concern about, the impact of failure and wanting to build confidence. But, it's a bit like talking about performative leadership. You can build confidence, but the context is key. And sometimes difficult things are necessary in order to overcome and then develop confidence. And, we do less sport now. Children are not, we have participation trophies versus having to suck it up when you lose and come back stronger, et cetera, et cetera. So my theory is that we might have gone backwards a bit, which makes it even more important for us to get on the front foot again with these initiatives like LOF, and other things that we can do just to round children out and make sure that they get stronger and tougher, as they will need to be.
And again, in complete agreement with you. So what change do you hope to see in youth 10 years from now, and how can LOF contribute?
The need that I perceive is for a counterbalancing aspect of education to go against the fact that, people are glued to their phones and are perhaps too often engaged in virtual sort of semi-relationships and not adept at reading body language and being in person. So I think that, if we are going to still have human interactions at work, which even with remote work, will still happen, then I think we have to prepare people for that and for them to be effective in person. That's one portion. I think the other thing, going back to the resilience topic, is it's a very uncertain place to be, no doubt, the world of 2035. And so what I worry about is people who, kind of give up, opt out, say that it all looks too difficult. And it might be a difficult environment, but we have to make sure that we are educating our young people so that they can rise to the challenge. We're not going to get anywhere if everyone just gives up and plays video games.
Yeah. One of the reasons why the LOF initiative has been set up in the first place.
Yeah.